Andrew, come behind me. So let's focus on this word, opiso. What is the spiritual element that we can see from this very text? In terms of place, when we are to follow Jesus, our position should be always at the back of Jesus. So when we, usually we have this picture where when we walk with Jesus, we see that Jesus is on our side. But when Jesus called his disciples, he said, Peter, Andrew, come at the back. Second, in terms of time, when we are to follow Jesus, we must learn to be patient. I believe that these two elements, place and time, are very important in spiritual element because we'll be looking at two other stories in the Bible. It's in Exodus 13:21, and let's look at it. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might travel by day and by night. We see here that when Moses led the Israelites from Egypt to the promised land, God gave them a symbol of his presence. The Israelites can see the pillar. During daytime it's a cloud, but during nighttime it's a pillar of fire. And when we look at the position, where is the pillar of cloud? The Lord went before them. It's in the front. So from the aspect of time, aspect of place, the Lord Jesus always ahead of us. Let's look at the other side, the time. The birth of Isaac. In Genesis 16:16 records that Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. So we know the story because God had promised to Abraham and also Sarah that they will have a son. And let me read a passage that is in Genesis 18 verse 11. And it says here, Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So it says here that Sarah had no chance to bear a child. And when Sarah and Abraham were told that they would have a child, in verse 12, Sarah laughed to herself, and she thought like this, After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? So just consider the age, 86 years old for Abraham. And even Sarah told us in Genesis that she didn't have that desire to sleep with Abraham. Now, what did they do to fulfill the promise of God? We know that Sarah said to Abraham, Abraham, here is Hagar, take her and sleep with her and have a child. It shows us that Abraham and Sarah could not wait when will be the time that God would give them a child. So they said, let's have a plan B. And God said, no, it's not from Hagar, it's from Sarah. Your descendant must come from Sarah. And when we look at Genesis 21 verse 5, it says there that Abraham was 100 years old when Sarah gave birth to Isaac. So how long did it take to wait for Abraham and Sarah to wait after the birth of Ishmael? 14 years. 14 years. So for those of us who have family, what would you do during the 14 years waiting? So in Genesis 21 verse 2, we know that Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the time of which God had spoken to him. So here we can see that we look at the phrase where it says, at the time of which God. It is God who sets the time. So we see that Abraham and Sarah tried to overtake God. But God said, no, this is not my plan. Before we go further, let's have a little reflection. Can you still remember the very first time when you did the first step to follow Christ? So if we are to answer this question, what would be our answer? Is it during when I was baptized? Or was it when I heard about Christ in the church? Or when? And if you have decided in the past to follow Christ, are you still following Him today? And as you follow Him, as we follow Him, have we ever felt that we are so tired in following Jesus Christ? And maybe a more important question, have you ever thought of stopping following Him? The last will be, how far are you from Jesus today? I cannot answer this for any one of you, but we can look back and we can see when was the first time we took our first step to say that, Jesus, I'm following you today. That is the first part of what Jesus has said to the disciples. My friends are here, and I'm sure that all of us who have children miss our family. And I was told by my wife that since I'm not there, my children always follow my father. But let's look at the second part of this lesson. The second part is Jesus said, not only come behind me, but He says, I will make you fishers of men. These two are different things, because to follow Christ is one thing, but to be the fishers of men is another thing. My first son always asks me, can I follow you? Can I go with you? But today the meaning of following is not walking, but getting into the car and just go with the car. And he will ask, where are we going? What are we doing? So in our spiritual journey with Christ, walking with Christ, have we ever stopped and asked ourselves, Jesus, what am I doing following you? Jesus makes it very clear in this statement to His disciples that, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Let's look at the verse. Kai poiso kumas aleis anthropon. And let's look at the word poiso. It means I will make, I will manufacture, I will construct. In other words, it says, I will do, I will act, I will cause you to become something. So we are getting the idea now, what Jesus says actually to His disciples. Come behind and I will make you, I will construct you, I will manufacture you, I will do, I will act, I will cause you so that you will be the fisherman. So following Jesus is not about just walking. Jesus has a plan, has a purpose when we follow Him. And we see here that we are not acting anything. It is Jesus who does, who acts, who will make us. And it is a process. So when we decide to follow Jesus, we thought of it as a graduation where, finally I can reach Jesus, now I can be with Him. But when we look at the calling of the disciples, where Jesus calls them, we see that this is a process of becoming the fisher of men. And most of us agree that it took more than 3.5 years for the disciples to really grow and to really understand what actually Jesus meant by following Him. The hares and anthropon simply means fishers of men. There's one important thing here. When Jesus called them, He did not give them another job description. He did not give them another title, but He retained the title, the fisherman, but changed the purpose. become the fishers of men. And we can observe here that Jesus uses the existing skills in the life of Peter, Andrew, James, and John, which is a fisherman. So many of us, when we think of following Jesus, we leave our potentials, we leave our talents, we leave our gifts as if it is not worthy before Jesus Christ. And many people think that we need to be pastors, elders, deacons, so that we can follow Jesus. But we see here Jesus still used the same word, fishers, but changed the purpose, fishers of men. Now we look back in the second part, the spiritual elements. Following Jesus is not just walking behind Jesus, but following Jesus is to let Him to make, to manufacture, to construct our lives so that we become fishers of men. And that is the purpose of Jesus' calling. Many Christians felt tired in following Jesus because one of the reasons is they found out that when they follow Jesus, they couldn't find anything that they can do, and they said, this is the stop. And some Christians also think that when we follow Jesus, we need that qualifications. But when we see the life of His disciples, it is Jesus who selected them and qualified them. And as they follow Jesus, Jesus will help them to grow. Jesus will help make them, mold them, construct them so that they will finally understand what it means to be Christian. Then the response will be Peter and Andrew, they left the nets, James and John, they left the boat and their father. So does it mean that we need to leave everything that we have? No, it simply means that these disciples gave their total commitment to the calling of Jesus. Let's go to the conclusion. If we had not taken the decision to leave behind things that are so dear to us, it would be very hard for us to submit, to commit our lives fully to Christ. And remember, let us always walk behind Jesus in terms of time and place. And this will prevent us from getting lost in our ways. Because when Jesus is ahead of us, we can look at Him and we can fix our eyes on Him, and we will not get lost. And in terms of time, our time it's not God's time. Be patient. And the last thing is, following Jesus is also about letting Him to mold us according to His plan. He wants to prepare us for a greater work based on what He gives, His gift to us. So Jesus would say to us, come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. What would be your answer? And I would like to end this with a song, classic song